Hey, how you doing? It's Neil, Natural Juice Junkie. And I put a post out earlier asking what questions you had for me on this, the first day of the winter cleanse. And so I thought I'd answer some of them. And I had planned on just making a video for this, but I figured, you know what, let's do it live. So feel free to kind of post comments and things as we go. I apologise, it's a bit later than I planned to do this, and I am relatively short on time, so I might not get through everybody's questions, but I am going to try my best. So let's start. So first up we had a comment from Hilmi that just said, so far so good. I did fancy a packet of crisps earlier, but that wasn't really hunger, that was probably just habit. And do you know what, it's a really good point, so let me just pick up on that. Quite often if we're feeling hungry, we're not. You know, as in we're not physically hungry, but we've got cravings going on that say, hang on a minute, you know, normally at this time of night, I sit down and I have a cup of coffee and a bar of chocolate or whatever it happens to be. And it's a habit we've got associated with certain feelings or certain times of the day. It's not our body really, really needing those things. So just bear that in mind. And the other thing to bear in mind is that sometimes dehydration and hunger can feel very similar in the body. So sometimes, you know, when you're feeling like, actually, I'm hungry, maybe you're not. You know, I'm not saying that you never are, but sometimes you're not. So have a glass of water first and see if that takes the hunger away, because quite often, you know, we can get confused as to whether we're hungry or whether we're dehydrated. Roseanne says, any tips or advice to keep juicing after the cleanse without being on a diet mentality? Really good question. I think the first thing I want to say on that is I'll be covering more about what to do when the cleanse finishes as we get closer to the end of the cleanse. But I think one of the first things to say is, you know, there is an abundance of food out there, and there's an abundance of like healthy food that promotes your health, as well as an abundance of stuff that doesn't, right? And I don't think, you know, we need to spend time going through which is which. So one simple thing that you might want to think about is just a simple question or to ask yourself, and that is, compared to what? So, you know, when you're choosing a food, is this healthy? Is this unhealthy? Well, compared to what? You know, and if you take that kind of approach and you focus on just eating as much good food as you can, then that can be a really good step forward. But we will cover more about what to do when the cleanse finishes later in the week. But thanks for the question. Sarah says, I've seen a few people post here about autoimmune disorders, myself included, with psoriasis and PSA. I'm hoping the cleanse will at least start to help, but I know 5 days won't be long enough. What do you think do you think it should help with autoimmune issues, and what would you advise as a follow-on? All I can say on this is the more we get our bodies into their natural state, the better our bodies are at looking after themselves. So when you go through a cleanse process and you're not putting toxicity into your body and your body's removing the toxicity, it starts to get your body into its natural position, which means that your body can start to heal itself in the ways that it knows how. Now, that doesn't mean it's a silver bullet and all illnesses are going to disappear in some miraculous, and it's gone. But what it does mean is that you're giving your body the best opportunity to actually put itself in the strongest position. And, you know, just as a simple example, if you go to the Juicing Success Stories on naturaljuicejunkie.com and look for Brian's story, you know, Brian has multiple sclerosis, but since he's been juicing, his life is completely different. You know, he's running half marathons and things, you know, and this is a guy that, well, just go read the story. Go read the story. I don't want to, you know, to steal the thunder, but you'll get the idea. Carol says, dealing with hunger. I've had lots of exercise yesterday and today, a 5-mile walk, Nordic walk, a 4.9-mile walk and jog with the dogs. I'm hungry. The thicker juice seemed to fill me, but the beat goes on, didn't really touch the sides. I'm drinking hot water and lemon till it's time for the soup. So one thing there, make sure that, you know, you're getting lots of fluids, because as I mentioned earlier, dehydration and hunger can get confused. But if you're genuinely hungry, have an extra juice, or, you know, put another quarter of an avocado or even a half of an avocado or something. So if you are genuinely hungry. And so that's the question is, am I really hungry, or is it habit, or is it that I'm telling myself that I normally eat now and I should be hungry even if you're not feeling it, or is it dehydration? And if you go through all of that and you are still genuinely hungry, then, a bit of avocado or a banana or even, a small handful of nuts or something. I saw someone else that posted earlier today that they had some nuts. A small handful of nuts, that's not failing. That's not a bad thing, right? That's still something positive and healthy going into your body. So, just again, compared to what, if you're feeling really, really hungry, if you're someone who's really active and you're doing a lot of exercise, and you feel the need to have a little bit more, have a little bit more, right? It's not, it's not a bad thing. So yeah, just do what feels natural, what feels right to you. Pamela says, advice on headaches and nausea, please. I'm used to juicing and I'm on the winter cleanse, but boy, had a doozy of a headache all day, very dizzy and nauseous. If you're getting headaches, then again, fluids is one thing that will definitely help with that. But something else that can help, and this might sound a little bit weird, but almonds. So just eating a small amount of almonds has been shown to actually help to reduce headache. So if the headache's really bad and it's not, fluid isn't cutting it, then a few almonds might help. But the other thing is, when you do a detox, the first day or two, you can feel a little bit rough. That's normal. And sometimes you just got to ride it out. So, a warm drink, early to bed, blanket, that kind of thing. But expect to be feeling much better tomorrow or Wednesday, right? But yeah, almonds are something else that can help. Next thing is from Julie. Oh, no question. Just want to say I'm loving the activity on this page. So she's talking about the Natural Juice Junkie community on Facebook, which I have to say has been amazing today. There's been some great support going on in there. And so if you've been part of that, thank you so much, and please keep posting. Martha says, can I freeze the kale until Friday's juice, please? I wouldn't freeze the kale, but you could make the juice and freeze the juice. So if you freeze the kale, it ain't going to juice very well. But if you want to make the juice that's got the kale in it and freeze the juice, then that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that you leave some space in the top of the bottle, because the juice will expand when it freezes, and otherwise, expect a messy freezer. Nat says, why do I always feel cold when I do juice fasts? And interestingly, there's a few comments underneath this from other people saying, Victoria, for example, saying, I'm always freezing on juice fast. And I've seen a couple of other posts about this. In fact, there's a couple of comments been added to this video while I've been recording it, asking about, feeling cold when juicing. Now, there's a few different theories on this, okay? But there's one of them that I actually think could well be the most optimum, and actually it's good news message, and that is that when your body goes into like a calorie restriction and your body says, maybe I'm in like famine now, it will close down some unnecessary functions in order to kind of maximize what it's doing with your body. Now, if what you're trying to do is lose weight, this is good news. Also, if what you're trying to do is like get longevity in your life, then again, this is good news. If you go to naturaljuicejunkie.com and you search for regenerate cells, I think should find you the post. There's something there. Hi, I don't know what happened there. For some reason, my signal dropped, so apologies. But I'm back. So yeah, I was saying about basically the feeling cold. Okay, when you go into when your body goes into fast, science has shown that actually in as little as 3 days you can regenerate your entire immune system through fasting. And when your body goes into that kind of fasting state, your body can sometimes show signs of that where you just feel cold, basically. That's not necessarily the only reason why you might be feeling cold. As much as anything, I mean, if you're here in the UK, it is cold right now, yeah? But if you're feeling cold, especially if you're someone who's done juicing, done like juice cleanses before, and you felt cold in the summer, then that could well be your body in the sweet spot. So that can actually be a really good thing. So, don't feel bad about being cold. Just stick on another jumper, have a warm herbal tea or something. It's actually or potentially it's a really good thing for you. What we got next? Tahira. So far very good. What should I eat when I'm having a craving for sugar or cake? What do you think I'm going to say to that one? Oddly enough, I'm not going to say go have sugar or cakes. If you're having the juices at the times that I suggested or thereabouts, one of the reasons they're spaced the way they are is to try and keep your blood sugars fairly level. If you're having big cravings for sugar, then that's your body having been used to having probably had way too much sugar. It could be tough for the first couple of days. Ride it out. You will thank yourself by like day 3 or day 4 when those cravings are gone, and those slumps that you're probably experiencing or potentially experiencing mid-afternoon, they'll start to go. So just ride it out. Don't go running off trying to get yourself a bar of chocolate or something. Just live with that one. Dawn says, I've heard that if you make your juices ahead of time and refrigerate them, you lose a lot of nutrients and vitamins. Is this true? I'm used to preparing food ahead, so it's more convenient, but reducing, I'm trying to do it all fresh. My concern is when I start working again. Dawn, fresh is best, but here's the question. I said this in the part 1 of this Q&A. Compared to what? If your option is a juice made like now and you're drinking it straight away, or a juice made an hour ago, the juice made now is going to be better. If it's a juice made an hour ago versus a juice made yesterday, the juice made an hour ago is going to be better. If it's yesterday versus 2 days ago, I think you get the idea. But if it's like, it's a choice between me having something that's, I don't know, a salad from a supermarket that, if you saw my post earlier, could well have added sugar and things in it, versus a juice that I made last night, I'd say the juice you made last night. So it depends on what type of juicer you're using. I mean, if you use a masticating juicer like the one I use, the Optimum 600, then you're getting a better shelf life where the nutrients are intact versus if you're using a centrifugal juicer. But when I first started juicing, I had a centrifugal juicer. I'd make juices the night before and take them to work with me. It was never a problem, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Just make sure that you put them in an airtight container. You fill the container all the way to the top. Basically, the 3 enemies of that fresh juice are oxygen, heat, and light. So, in a dark container in the fridge where it's nice and cold, filled all the way to the top, so there's no oxygen trapped inside the bottle. Perfect. So don't panic too much. Making them the day before or something is absolutely fine. Martha says, does it matter if I have the soup early? No, the timings are suggested. As I mentioned a moment or two ago, by following the timings, it will help to keep your blood sugar levels more stable, and hopefully avoid you having slumps. But if it doesn't fit with your lifestyle and your time scales and your schedule, move it around, right? The important thing is that you do stuff that works for you, both during this 5-day cleanse, but also on an ongoing basis. We need to do things that are sustainable with our own lifestyles if we want a sustainable lifestyle, right? Having an idea of, let's take a simple example. If we're talking about exercise and movement, if I was to say to you should go for a walk for an hour every morning before you do anything else, by the way, I'm not saying you should do that, but if I was to say that, how many people can fit that into their lives? How many people can always get up earlier and do that, especially if they've got kids, right? It's not necessarily practical. So you need to think about things and make them fit to your life. So you want to change some timings and stuff, that's absolutely fine, absolutely fine. Claire says, not a question, just a comment. I love these recipes. Thank you, Claire. She then goes on to say how she was fed up with a limited selection from somebody else's juice plans, and that the pea and mint soup was delicious. It is a good soup, isn't it? I have to say, I love soup this time of year, and I hope you enjoy the other soup recipes as much. I have to say, I'm a big fan of soup, and that pea one, pea and mint soup it's a big favourite of mine. We did it in one of my raw food courses recently, and everybody loved it, and that's how it made it into the plan. Kimberly says, love all the juice, can't wait for the soup. There's then a question about somebody who's bought a blender, is still under a trial period, thinking they should return it and switch to the Optimum 9400. All I can say to that is I love my Optimum 9400, but the other machine that you mentioned I've never used, right? So I can't say which is better, which is worse. All I can say is I love the Optimum 9400, and everyone I know that's got one loves it too. So if you went for that machine, I don't think you'd be disappointed. But if you've already got a good blender, I'm not saying you need to change it either. Another comment about feeling cold. We've covered that already. I've enjoyed the juices today. Jill says, I've enjoyed the juices today, but have been very hungry. My avocado wasn't ripe, so I was a quarter of an avocado short. I guess that would have helped. Hopefully my system will get used to it. I've had plenty of water and green tea. The avocado absolutely will help in terms of satiating you and also giving you essential fats that your body needs. So, you know, if you don't have a ripe avocado, then that will make a difference. But also, you know, day one, quite often you can feel a little bit hungry, but it's not always a true or real hunger. So just be mindful of that. Keep the fluids up, and I'm sure you'll come through it really well. But as I mentioned before, you know, if it is a genuine hunger and you're really hungry, have something. You know, have a banana or half an avocado, or, you know, a small handful of nuts or something like that. Sue says, no question, just to say, love the pea and mint soup. Thank you, Sue. Glad you're enjoying it. Billy. Okay, so Billy says, how do I stop using junk food as a reward? I've been juicing for 5 years and I love juice. And I juice a minimum of a litre 7 days a week and always start off eating clean or following a cleanse. After a few days, I feel better, less bloated and more energetic. I then celebrate feeling good by going on a processed junk binge. I know it will make me feel crap, which it does, and I mentally prepare myself to fight the urge. But time after time, something clicks and I fail. And then there's a couple of comments underneath that from other people who are basically saying they feel the same. So here's the first thing. You don't fail. You don't fail if you learn something. And you've already learned from your very message there that this makes you feel crap. So you're learning lessons from it, right? It's experience. You know, good decisions come from the experience of making bad ones, you know. And so take that on board and learn from it. Learn from the fact that you're not enjoying that experience. I mean, something I do with some of my coaching clients, which you might want to consider trying, is to keep a food diary. But not just a food diary where you write down what you eat, but a food diary where you write down how you feel when you eat it. So how you're feeling before you eat something, and then how you're feeling after you've eaten it, maybe 10 minutes, half an hour, something afterwards. So you can see what the difference is, right? Because if you've got an emotional attachment to food, you've eaten it before you put it in your mouth, yeah? You've experienced how you think you're going to feel before you even eat it. And quite often, and I'm talking from personal experience and experience of having worked with a number of people now, you know, quite often that feeling that you have of how that food's going to make you feel and the reality of what happens when you eat it, they're not the same, are they? Yeah, so you think, when I eat this, I don't know, this burger and fries, or when I eat this bar of chocolate, or, you know, when I eat this bag of crisps, or whatever it is, I'm going to feel X. And then you don't. And potentially what you actually feel is the complete opposite, and you feel like you're a failure and you feel really negative about yourself. There's a lesson in there, isn't there? And if you can write it down and you can track it, then you can go back and you can say, well, do you know what? The last time I was feeling, a little bit down, I reached for a bar of chocolate, and then I felt even worse. So next time I'm feeling a little bit down, I'm not going to reach for a bar of chocolate. I'm going to have a banana first, and then if I still feel a little bit down, maybe I'll have a small piece of chocolate. Yeah? And it's about adapting things. It's about monitoring how you feel. It's about monitoring your own behaviour. I mean, I'll be honest, I could talk to you for a whole day about different techniques you could do on this. I haven't got time to do it in this video, but hopefully that gives you somewhere to start, Billy. And if there's more people feeling the same sort of things, again, post comments on this video, post comments in the community, the Natural Juice Junkie Facebook community. I'll be more than happy to try and address some more of those for you. Okay, so Fran says, I'm starting tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. How do you stop munching all the lovely fruit and veg before it goes in the juicer? Hey, do you know what? If the worst thing you're going to do is eat some of the fruit and veg before you juice it, that ain't a bad thing, is it? Come on. Yeah. But you also asked Fran about peeling oranges. Yeah, peel oranges. Always peel oranges. There's some oils in the skin that they're not good for our health to consume, basically. Lemons and limes, you can leave the skin on. It will affect the flavour. Also, obviously, make sure they're wax-free because you don't want to be drinking wax. But yeah, the big thing there is, you know, it will affect the flavour, so just be mindful of that. I saw a couple of comments earlier of people who, you know, the lemon kick in one of the juices was maybe a little bit strong, a bit bitter for them. So, you know, in that case, take the skin off. Somebody else was saying that they like more of a kick from their lime. In that case, leave the skin on. Karen says, I don't know if this has been asked, apology if so, can the pea and mint soup be frozen? There's an awful lot of this delicious soup. And there's a couple of other comments I've seen actually about the volume of the soups. The soups are 2 to 3 portions in the recipe. I'm fairly sure I put that in one of the emails that I sent out. Apologies if I didn't. I think I put it in somewhere, but I'm sorry if I didn't. But yeah, all of the soups make 2 to 3 portions. Can you freeze the soup? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can freeze the soup. So, you know, if you want to freeze the soups, that's cool. If you want to put them in the fridge, you know, I was going to say put them in the fridge to have tomorrow. You've got a plan for tomorrow. So if you're going to stick on plan, you won't want to do that. But, you know, maybe there's somebody else in your house that likes soup, right? Because they're good tasting soups. So, but yeah, by all means, you can freeze the soup and then just, you know, warm it back up. You know, once the cleanse is finished, and who knows, maybe that could be your food for, you know, day 6 or day 7 or whatever. Joe says, loved day 1, roll on day 2, feeling less bloated already. Hooray. Hooray indeed, Joe. That's fantastic. Really good to see that. And Ellie says, loved the juices and soup today, but why oh why do I always feel cold? I've covered the cold thing. Being cold is not necessarily a bad thing, so celebrate it and, you know, and rejoice in the fact that it might be your body's actually having a really good reaction to this cleanse. So that's really cool. And then just one more message that was on. If there's been any more appear while I've been making a video, I apologise. There's one more message that was on before I started, which was Victoria, who said, this may be too late, but can I really have all the soup recipe makes tonight? It's double the amount of juice I normally have, but it tastes bloody amazing. Think I could happily eat this every day. Well, do you know what, Vicky? If you've got room for it, it's not going to do you any harm. Yeah, it is supposed to be 2 to 3 portions, but if you're enjoying it and you've got room for it and you're feeling hungry, it's better than, you know, than many of the alternatives, right? So, you know, let's keep getting all those wonderful nutrients going into our bodies and stop worrying about, you know, how much or whatever. If you're eating good, real, natural food, it's really, really hard to overeat because your body will say, actually, do you know what? I've had enough of this now. So, you know, unless your body's putting the brakes on, if you want to eat more of it, you knock yourself out. Enjoy it. Anyway, listen, I said it was going to be a quick video. I think it's been probably about half an hour now in 2 parts. I hope you've all found it useful. If you've got questions, comments or whatever, you know, please come to the Natural Juice Junkie community on Facebook. Put them in there, it's best place. Alternatively, you know, you can put them on this video. If you're in the cleanse and you're getting emails from me, feel free to reply to any of those emails. But do you know what? Oh, there's a message that's just come through here. Can I read it on my phone where this has come up? Thank you, Neil. You've just hit the nail on the head in regards to rewarding yourself with bad food binge. Okay, cool. Glad you found it useful, Carrie. Look, anyway, I need to go. I hope you found it useful, and I will catch up with you again tomorrow. So keep posting your pictures, your videos, whatever you want to post that shows us what you're doing. I've seen some really, really cool stuff today, and you know, I'm really pleased to be seeing it all, and I'm just glad that you're all enjoying it. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you. So cheers. See you soon.